Hello everyone, and welcome back to another solo spooky story. My name's Rob, and I'll be your host. For those of you that don't know, the solo spooky stories are shorter episodes presented by myself, where every other week I will talk about something that I just find quite interesting, a topic that's been submitted to us by a listener, or it could be something that myself or Suze has researched that may not necessarily just have enough content in it for a full episode, but we still want to talk about it, so I'll present a short story on it instead. But yeah, I hope you're all keeping well whenever it is you're listening to this, and we're going to get into this really interesting, quite different case. Not really anything something we've done before, so this one's a really interesting one. So today we are talking about a sculpture, which is just fascinating. So I learned about this sculpture. It's called Kryptos. I learned about the sculpture a few weeks ago, and I started kind of reading it a little bit. It was actually referenced in I'm ashamed to say it was referenced in an article talking about Dan Brown, and anyone that listens to this knows that I've said to Suze as well before that I have a love of Dan Brown books for just how fun they are. And yeah, this is mentioned just in an article I was reading, and I thought, oh yeah, do you know what, I'll maybe look into this a little bit more. And lo and behold, like a good Dan Brown thriller, this one sucked me in, and the whole kind of story around the sculpture is just mad interesting, and I would be so sad if I didn't make a short episode on this at the very least. So as I said, this sculpture, it's called Kryptos, and it is actually located on the grounds of the CIA's headquarters in Langley, Virginia. So the George Bush Center for Intelligence. And yeah, this sculpture is literally on the grounds of CIA headquarters, which in itself was quite cool. But when you look into it more, it becomes even cooler. So just some background on this. It was created by the American artist Jim Sanborn, and it was completed in 1990, so November 1990. And the fascinating thing about this sculpture is that it appears to hold 4 encrypted messages in it, which it's a story that basically writes itself. Like, this is just mystery story, just straight up. Like, absolutely love this. So I'll post some pictures of the sculpture, but basically this artist created this sculpture. It's a heap of letters. It's divided into 4. It looks like kind of a piece of a scroll. And yeah, it's 4 encrypted messages that the artist has said will reveal a 5th message once all 4 have been discovered. Like, as I said, this shit just writes itself. Like, it's phenomenal. So of the 4 messages, 3 of these have been solved to date, and I'm recording in February of 2025, so 3 of the 4 have so far been solved, and number 4 is still ever elusive. But yeah, this sculpture, basically, it's this huge interest to, I suppose, cryptanalysts, and yeah, there's just amateur and professional analysts all looking at this. Everyone's basically looking at it. There's Reddit threads just dedicated to this. Like, if you look on Reddit, you just see like literally dozens of threads, people talking about it, people speculating. It's kind of like the cicada mystery, but like it's similar enough in the sense of the amount of posts that you see on Reddit about this. So many people talking about it. Now that generative AI has become more popular, there's a lot of people trying to use like ChatGPT or Copilot to solve it, but so far no one has been successful in solving the 4th and supposedly penultimate message. So yeah, so the sculpture, as I said, it's 4 messages, but it's basically comprised of these 4 large copper plates with other elements, I suppose, making up the rest of it. So it's made up of wood, there's plants involved in it, there's red and green granite, there's white quartz, petrified wood, and then there's also water flowing around it as well. So it's really made up of all the elements there. The only thing it's really missing is fire, but I suppose even the wood is there for it. So mad interesting. It's such a cool sculpture. I suppose in a sense it kind of looks ancient in just how it looks, and clearly the sculptor was going for that, and it just adds all the more to the mystery, like some sort of just ancient secret that's been unraveled. So yeah, the most prominent feature of this sculpture is the large vertical, I suppose like wave shaped or S-shaped copper screen or pages, I suppose, copper pages, yeah, might be the best way to describe it, resembling this kind of, as I said, like a scroll or a piece of paper. And yeah, it's just covered in this encrypted text. And I think what I love the most about this is it's directly outside the like cafeteria. So people who are like having their lunch, having a coffee or something, they see this outside their window. It's just perfect. I can just picture people having a cup of coffee, trying to figure out what the fuck this is. And yeah, so the characters that are written on this, it's all 26 letters of the alphabet, the Latin alphabet, and there's some question marks in there as well. And the cool thing about this is that the letters themselves have actually been etched out of the copper, so they're actually like permanent. Like there's no fear of it kind of, I suppose, degrading, well, anytime soon anyway. And yeah, as I said, 4 messages are there, 3 of them have been deciphered. But this dude, Jim Sanborn, really interesting guy. So he's actually created other pieces of art that's kind of like scattered around the CIA grounds, and he's clearly just into just cool and interesting stuff. So there's kind of like large granite slabs apparently with like copper that he's put around the place. Apparently he's also like put Morse code messages onto some of these copper sheets. One of the stone slabs apparently has like a compass rose pointing to like some other mystery that people have solved. So this guy basically is just mad for creating some sort of like cryptic messages within all of his art, which, you know, I love it. Like it keeps it interesting, and it just adds to the air of mystery around this guy. So just again, for a little bit like final piece of background, the name Kryptos, so that's Kryptos. It comes from the ancient Greek word for hidden, and I suppose that's a pretty accurate name for a sculpture whose message is basically like hidden in plain sight. And supposedly the sculpture's estimated cost was about $250,000, which in today's money, with inflation considered, it's like over $500,000, I believe, which, you know, it's pretty impressive, and quite a bit of money when you think about it. So the encrypted messages is what I find the most interesting, and I think this is what I just love about this. So the main sculpture contains approximately 869 letters or characters. So 865 of these are letters, 4 of them are question marks. And yeah, so basically, like when you look at the sculptures, like the pictures of it, all you see is just letters everywhere, and it's mad impressive. Like it's really cool to see. Sanborn himself apparently took quite a long time to really like think about these really I suppose difficult encryptions. He apparently rates it on a 9 out of 10 on the difficulty scale. So Sanborn worked with this retired CIA employee called Edward Scheidt. I hope that's how you pronounce his surname. If not, I apologize, but Edward Scheidt, to come up with basically the systems that they used. And yeah, as I said, he said that it's about a 9 out of 10 on the difficulty scale. So apparently their intention was that this would be solved within 5 to 10 years, and that it would all just be a very interesting mystery, and people would kind of, I think, almost laugh about it. That has not been the case. It has been 35 years since this sculpture was put in place, and it's still not completed. It's now gotten to a point where Sanborn, the artist, is now basically kind of coming to terms with the fact that he may well die before the encryption is finally discovered, and he's, I think, just made his peace with that. So really interesting, and super interesting, I think. And as I said, the final piece of this is that the Sanborn has come out to say that the sculpture basically contains this like riddle within a riddle. So he said that when the 4 passages have been deciphered, a final riddle will basically be presented out of the message out of all 4 combined messages. So like it's just layers within layers. Like this is just pure just like inception of messages. So apparently the only other person apart from Sanborn who knows the total solution to this is the former CIA director William Webster. And yeah, he allegedly is aware of it as well, but obviously he hasn't given the solution either. So it's an interesting one. So I just want to talk about finally like the messages and the, I suppose, the solving that went into these messages. So the first person who came out to announce publicly that they had solved the first message was a guy called Jim Gillogly, and he's a computer scientist from California, and he apparently discovered, he announced basically that he had actually deciphered the first 3 passages. He said that he used a computer to do this, and revealed in all of his solutions basically in the late 90s. So when he announced this, apparently the CIA then came out afterwards and were like, oh no, don't worry, you're not the first. One of our guys actually solved it in 1998, a year before this guy. And not only, you know, did he solve it before you, but he only used a pen and paper, whereas you used a fucking computer. So basically just like shitting all over this guy, which is just fun, just mad petty. But yeah, basically the CIA claimed they solved it before this guy, but Jim Gilugly came out publicly to say it, and the CIA were basically like, oh, we didn't share, it was just a big deal in the intelligence community, but we didn't share it with everyone else. Apparently the NSA then came out and claimed that some of their employees had solved the 3 passages, but they wouldn't reveal names or dates until March 2000. And yeah, so they allegedly claimed that a team of analysts from the NSA had been working on this, and they claimed that they solved the passages in 1992. So 6 years prior to the CIA solving it, and 2 years after the sculpture was announced or revealed, and still within that 5 to 10 year time limit of all 4 potentially being solved, according to the artist. So yeah, it's just one of these really petty things that apparently the only reason the NSA did this was basically, I think they were like drunkenly challenged to do this by one of the like deputy directors of the CIA or something like that. Or there was some sort of challenge basically put down, effectively being like, CIA is better than the NSA and we'll fucking show you, let's solve this. The NSA basically decided to turn up and go, yeah, all right, fine. And they just fucking blew the competition out of the water and solved it within 2 years, these 3 messages. So yeah, so just really childish way of coming about this, but nonetheless they did solve it. And we do actually have I suppose the 3 solutions that are, accepted as the solutions and confirmed by the artist. So message 1 says, between subtle shading and the absence of light lies the nuance of occlusion. So apparently the last word there, occlusion, was an intentional misspelling of the word illusion. And Jim Sanborn has come out to confirm that this is intentional, that he purposely put in a misspelled word to throw people off, which is a bit of a dick move, but we'll accept that. So I'm going to skip to message 3 first, and then I'm going to come back to message 2, because message 2 is the most mad one. So message 3 says, slowly, desperately, slowly the remains of passage debris that encumbered the lower part of the doorway was removed with trembling hands. I made a tiny breach in the upper left-hand corner, and then widening the hole a little, I inserted the candle and peered in the hot air escaping from the chamber, which caused the flame to flicker, but presently details of the room within emerged from the mist. Can you see anything? This is apparently a paraphrased kind of quotation from Howard Carter's account of being the first person to look inside Tutankhamun's tomb in 1922. And it's apparently taken directly from his book, The Tomb of Tutankhamun. So apparently the answer to his question at the end, when he says, can you see anything? Apparently the answer to it is wonderful things. So he allegedly says wonderful things, or yes, it's wonderful, which is just interesting. Now on to message 2. This is the most interesting to me, and I think it's because it's just the weirdest one of them all. So message 2 says, it was totally invisible. How's that possible? They used the Earth's magnetic field X. The information was gathered and transmitted underground to an unknown location X. Does Langley know about this? They should. It's buried out there somewhere X. Who knows the exact location? Only WW. This was his last message X. 38 degrees, 57 minutes, 6.5 seconds north. 77 degrees, 8 minutes, 44 seconds west. Layer 2. So, it's just a mindfuck, this one. So, the coordinates that are read out allegedly point to a point that's approximately 53 meters southeast of the sculpture. And at some point, apparently, there was some sort of geocache there, or something that was placed there, obviously by the artist or something. That's now since gone missing, so I'm not sure what was part of that. But this whole thing talking about using the Earth's magnetic field and burying something underground to an unknown location, hiding the information from Langley, this has caused many a thread on Reddit, and it's everything from people just saying it's very creative writing through to Sanborn knows something and has basically put something in here that the CIA basically has given him permission to hide a message around, I don't know, alien disclosure or something, and that when the world basically figures out this message, that disclosure will happen and everyone will know the ultimate secrets about alien life and all that. So there's quite a few other theories in between, but yeah, it is fascinating, and I do love it. It's super interesting. So the final part to all of this is that Passage 4 still hasn't been completed yet, and Passage 4 allegedly will lead to, when you combine the 3 previous passages into a larger one with an additional riddle in it, that ultimately gives the answer to the overall Kryptos mystery. So Sanborn has come out to say that basically the answers in the first 3 passages contain clues to the 4th passage. So he said this in 2006. And in 2010, he actually released a clue. He publicly stated that some of the letters, when they're correctly deciphered, spell out the word Berlin. He then came out in November 2014, so 4 years later, and again said that some of the letters spelled, and he listed them, when they are correctly deciphered, they spell the word clock. So Sandburn kind of went even one step further and said that basically, in order to solve passage 4, quote, you'd better delve into that particular clock. But then he added, following on from this, that there's quite a few really interesting clocks in Berlin. So yeah, he's kind of, I suppose, telling them where they need to look, but hasn't obviously given the answer exactly. And then his final clue that he gave in 2020 was again the same thing. A series of letters, when they're correctly deciphered, spell northeast. And then a follow-on to that clue, he clarified in August 2020, saying that the final few letters that he wanted to talk about spell east. So there's the words basically he's delivered are Berlin, clock, northeast, and east. So apparently this will basically be the way to solve the final message. So yeah, that kind of concludes it. Like, I love this so much. It's just this modern mystery that basically just writes itself. The internet is like just collectively trying to figure this all out. There's people in literally the CIA, the NSA, like other, I'm sure, 3-letter agencies that are all just trying to figure out what this is. And I just love it. It's just a really, really interesting mystery that just has additional layers built into it, that kind of the further you delve into it. So yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. You know, like, what do you think the final message is? I genuinely have no idea. I just think it's brilliant. I just really do love this, and I really hope that Sandburn does live to see the final message discovered, because for him it would be great. But yeah, with that said, as I said, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. So you can get us on Instagram at the SpookAF Pod, and the same on Threads. You can get us at Gmail at the SpookAFpodcast@gmail.com, or you can get us on YouTube, where our audience is slowly but surely growing. It's nice to see. We'll definitely have to maybe look at developing some content specifically for YouTube, because obviously it's a medium that suits that. But yeah, as I said, send in your thoughts to us. Send in your theories. Let us know what you think about all of this. Have you ever tried to solve these messages yourself? Have you heard of this? And like myself, do you enjoy a good Dan Brown mystery? Because I know I do. It's my guilty pleasure. But with that said, I hope you've had a lovely day whenever it is that you're listening to this, and I will catch you in the next one. Take it easy, guys.